Get his thoughts on their 6th straight win.
Thank you very much, Riv. Yes, I'm here with Impact. Really great win, 6 in a row for you guys now. Are you going to be the best team in North America? What's the ceiling like for you guys?
정말 파죽 지세로 6연승하고 계신데요. 목표가 무엇인지 정말 베스트 오브 NA가 되는 것인지 좀 얘기해 주세요.
베스트 NA도 있지만 저희가 최종 목표는 일단 월드 챔피언십을 가는 게 목표이기 때문에 가기 위해선 다 이겨야 된다 생각하고 지금 그걸 이기는 걸 목표로 하고 있어요.
Well, our goal is obviously best of NA would be good, but ultimately we want to advance to World Championship, and then we're really working towards that goal.
Well, next week you guys face some of your biggest opponents, both Team Liquid and Gravity next week here, who are the number 1 and 2 teams in North America. What's that week going to look like for you guys?
그 다음 주에는 리퀴드랑 또 그래비티랑 되게 잘하는 팀들이랑 붙잖아요. 어떻게 준비하고 계신지 좀 설명해 주세요.
일단 리퀴드랑 GV가 좀 많이 강한 팀이기 때문에 저희가 뱀픽적으로 좀 이득 보고 들어가야지 좀 많이 할 만할 거고요. 저희가 좀 지금 많이 좋아졌지만 좀 더 실력을 올리면 확실히 좀 더 이길 가능성이 높아 보여요.
So they're really strong teams. So we think we need to get an advantage in the pick and ban phase, and we're going to continue to work hard.
All right. So one more question for you, Impact here. Obviously, TSM played a bunch of globals that game, the Twisted Fate, the Shen, and at some point, Shen got ahead of you, and you couldn't split push against him anymore. What were your goals to actually still be useful in that game when Shen's starting to walk over your lane?
저번 TSM과 경기에서 TSM이 글로벌 얼티가 있는 쉔도 있었고 또 TF도 있었고 했는데 나중에는 쉔한테 좀 발목 잡히는 모습이 보였을 때 그때 어떤 생각을 하셨고 어떻게 이걸 좀 벗어나야겠다라고 생각하셨나요?
일단 그냥 이길 것 같다는 생각밖에 안 들더라고요. 너무 저를 쓸데없이 잡는 게 많아가지고 타워를 다 주고 저를 잡는 거라 엄청 손해봤다고 생각했거든요. 그리고 쉔한테 1대1이 안 된 게 제가 비사지라는 아이템이 안 떠가지고 1대1이 안 돼가지고 이거 좀 위험하겠는데 했는데 그래도 팀원들이 타워랑 다 잘해줘가지고 결국 좋게 갔던 것 같아요.
So I thought we were actually getting ahead because they were, spending too much resources on me while we were split pushing towers, and then I didn't have the item Spirit Visage, so I knew that I couldn't really 1v1 Shen, but overall I think our team had an advantage in that.
Yeah, you guys played really well. Impact, thank you very much. Congratulations on the win, and we're going to send it over to the guys at the analyst desk to break down that game a bit further.
Thank you, Freak. Zareen, I'm coming to you first. Story of this game seemed to be Team Impulse trying to deal with the multitude of threats on the side of TSM. I want to start in the mid lane because we saw in the video feature leading into the game, Xiao Weizhao and the rest of the team recognizing the importance of shutting Bjergsen down.
Yeah, and when you talk about multiple threats, they didn't actually draft a whole lot of threats on the side of TSM. So they just were able to, we talk about it a lot, where if Xiao Weizhao can neutralize Bjergsen, TIP stand a really good chance of running over the entire game. And that's exactly what they did here. Xiao Weizhao went on Orianna, one of his classic champions, and just was able to farm up and just knock Bjergsen out of lane. We saw at level 2, he got Bjergsen to 1/3 HP, and then he just got lane dominance from there.
Yeah, well, let's take a look at that fight in particular. We're going to pull this up on your screens right now, the first replay. We're going 12 minutes into the game, and it starts here in the 1v1.
We talk so frequently about Team Impulse being an aggressive team, but what they've added to their game lately is the right moments of aggression. There was so many times in this game where Team Impulse showed restraint because they're waiting for the Shen and the Twisted Fate to not be threats. With the TF being low and no flash and a Shen ult down, this is the time where Team Impulse can be aggressive. And as far as a cooldown discipline perspective goes, TSM doesn't have any right there. They should not be executing a turret dive like that when their two supporters, Shen and Twisted Fate, cannot provide real aid to the battle. So Turtle obviously overextends himself, and this is the first time Team Impulse gets really aggressive in the game, but it's all because Xiao Weizhao forced those cooldowns out of TSM in the mid lane, and immediately Team Impulse could jump right back into TSM. That was a disaster that could have been avoided for TSM. Once the Shen ult is burned in the mid lane, call off the dive, because even if that wild turtle flash nets a kill onto the Kog'Maw, they're still probably losing the ensuing fight because the support cannot arrive from the mid lane.
Yeah, and TIP, the last 3 games that they've played have involved global compositions. They ran one themselves, then they played against Teammate who ran one, and they just played against TSM. They know the conditions themselves for when they can execute as a global comp, and then they just apply that to their enemy. As soon as those conditions are met on a global comp, it's like, he can't come in. It's just a comp. You take the global out of it, and then you can take those fights. And that's how they're playing it, and it was great to watch.
Yeah, and there's a few things that TSM did well after the early game disaster, because once Dyrus got an edge, he did provide good split push pressure that whole game. It was the reason that Team Impulse had to continually just force these group fights, because the spread out gameplay and the team play from TSM was holding strong and pulling them back into the game.
And it took a while. It took till 36 minutes into the game of forcing these global objectives where they finally got the fight they wanted. We're going to pull this replay up on your screen and walk through it.
Yeah, because Zyrene also mentioned earlier that Team Impulse has plenty of experience playing as and against global team compositions. So what you need to do, this is textbook all the way back to Season 2. If a team is dominating you with global ultimates, you have to force the group. And right here, Team Impulse knows exactly that, so it looks like they're being foolish because they're all so low, but that is the only way they can draw TSM in. And they just start this team fight with brute force. They righteous glory onto Bjergsen, and they are so much stronger in the 5v5 that even though Rush and Adrian started this fight with low health, they can still be superior in that engagement. There's definitely some micro things where Team Impulse outplayed TSM in that situation. TSM could have played the fights better, but strategically, that was the only play Impulse actually had left, and they managed to execute.
Yeah, and the only damage dealers are Corki and Twisted Fate. When you all just barrel onto Twisted Fate, you have this sustained damage of the Orianna, the sustained damage of the Nidalee, and the Kog'Maw, who's untouched for a lot of that fight. You're just going to flat out just win that fight, no problem.
Yeah, the QSS definitely coming up big there on the Kog'Maw against the gold cards. The one other thing I want to look at, and we saw the interview there with Impact, is the fact that he was all 4 of the team's deaths. Yeah. But it was not all 4 deaths for nothing.
Yeah, he died twice and got 3 turrets for it, which was absolutely incredible because it gave them this gigantic gold lead that they were able to balloon, and then they were able to force those objectives and force TSM to come to them.
Yeah, it was
sorry about that.
Pretty good game about just point, counterpoint there, because even though Team Impulse got turrets when Impact was dying, those deaths themselves actually allowed Dyrus to get split push supremacy and almost brought TSM back into the game. So there was some good balance in that one, and ultimately it was just the team fighting down the stretch that won it for Impulse.
And before we go, TSM have lost the last 4 games they have played now. This is, by TSM standards, a wretched losing streak. What's in the cards for them at this point?
By anyone's standards, a 4-game losing streak is somewhat wretched. It's continuation of their rebuilding plan, obviously. Reginald said he's already stepping in as head coach. There has been a trend downwards, and in correcting that trend, if you're in a valley, it will take time to come back out. The question will be whether they break and continue to fall downwards, because it's not looking good for TSM.
All right, well, there you have it. When we come back, Team Liquid will defend their hold on 2nd place and first-round playoff bye against the likes of Counter Logic Gaming. Stay with us.
Game of the week, Team Impulse versus TSM. Oh boy, they're getting their fight that they want. 6.5 minutes in, they start the first one. First blood going on to Wild Turtle. Impact gets out. Remember, the ultimate's down, but Rush has the gap closed. The double kill coming in for the Poke Apollo. Now Santorin could be the one going down.
Shooting you. Throw. Kiting. This bad. I catch. Here. Speed up. Corki. Nice. Better.
Team Impulse takes down TSM.